Hey guys, ECRG here, back with another episode. Today I've got a very good question in my inbox. You can email me, eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com, if you have any personalized questions that you'd like me to respond to or talk about on the channel or the podcast or anything like that. The great thing about these questions is if you have them, there's probably other people out there who probably have these same exact questions. So hopefully this is very, very helpful. But before we jump into that, I just want to let you guys know about the resume review program. A lot of people have been emailing me about it lately. It is a program for you to submit your resume to me. I will go through it with a fine-tooth comb. I will provide comments. I've got a few different packages I offer, and really I should do a video breaking them down, but we've got a top tier package which has the audio video file that I will send to you of me actually going through it step by step. It's got the ability for us to talk about your resume on the phone beforehand, and it also comes with a package to help you prepare for your first interview after you have successfully gotten to that point in the interview process. We've got a next tier package, which is just the audio video file and me commenting on Word. And then we've got a basic package just for anybody who just wants some comment on their resume done via usually Microsoft Word, or we can do Adobe PDF also, just to be comments on your resume. Definitely the package that most people get is going to be the mid-tier package with the audio video file. That's the one where people definitely have the most things to say about it, and the one that most people do decide to go with just because they really like it, and a lot of the other clients have been very, very happy with that. So just want to let you guys know about that. But back to this question. This person emailed me because, well, I'll just read the email. They say, "Dear sir, first of all, let me begin by saying that I appreciate the chance to contact you. I just watched a couple of videos on your channel and decided to send you an email. I graduated from University of Belgrade in Serbia in February 2015, and I am working in the pharmacy in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I am a permanent resident here. Clinical research and clinical trials have been in my focus of interest since the student days. However, I did not have the opportunity to work in this branch of the pharmaceutical industry. So far, I have gained enough experience working as a pharmacist and also as a medical representative while I was in Serbia. I wanted to kindly ask you if you could share some information and guidelines on where I should start in order to pursue my career as a CRA, and what are my options as an international pharmacy graduate. Could you maybe provide more information about internship or training programs for which I could submit an application? I look forward to hearing from you." So we've got a lot to unpack here. So this person is a resident in Canada, which is great. Now, for those that, just a disclaimer, I am based in the United States, so I'm not as familiar with how things work in terms of immigration when it comes to Canada and other countries like that. But I do know one thing, and that's how to get into the clinical research industry. I broke in as a contractor, so making barely anything, $10, $11 an hour, and worked my way up to be a CRA, as I currently sit at the making of this video. And I love that job. I've talked about it a lot on this channel. Love that job. I think it's one of the best jobs you can have. It's very rewarding. It is you got to think a lot. You got to critically think. You get to travel. You get to see parts of the country and even the world on the company's dime that you have never even thought about going to or seeing before. And also one of the things is, if you're a big foodie, I'm a big foodie. I eat top tier food now. I eat at places I never, ever would pay for out of my own money. I mean, steak, lobster, lobster bisque. Different salads, entrees, appetizers. It's crazy. Different drinks. So it just kind of depends, but it's definitely a great career path and definitely one that you should get into because demand is very high. So how do you go about getting into this in Canada? Now, clearly you've moved from Serbia to Canada, so this may be something where you want to move to a center. Now, I'm not as familiar as in Calgary, Alberta, how the clinical research industry is there, but I know there are definitely some centers, maybe Toronto, where you do have some CROs or pharmaceutical companies based. So maybe that's something you want to think about, is moving there, where it's going to be easier for you to get a job in the clinical research space. Now, I think something that's good is potentially be a study coordinator. That's one of my favorite jobs, to kind of get your foot in the door, just because you learn so much at the site level. You're going to build a very, very good foundation for your clinical research career. So that's something to think about, is moving, and then also thinking about the study coordinator position. And that's a very local position. That's not one where you can like work remotely. You've got to actually be there, but that's good. And really try and take anything where you can get clinical research experience, because this is an industry where it is very, very, they're very, very picky. They don't want, it doesn't matter if you have bench research experience or, some other type of research experience. They want clinical research experience, and that's about all they want. And I could tell you, even if you get 2 months of it, it's going to change your whole application vibe. It's going to change everything. And it's going to be a lot easier for you to move around and get different jobs with that. I noticed a big difference after my contract. It was only for a couple months, but I was starting to get phone calls. I was starting to get callbacks, and it's a game changer. So I would definitely try and just get your foot in the door somewhere. Now, that might require moving. I've been getting a lot of questions lately from people who, they've applied to a bunch of jobs and can't get jobs. And a lot of it could be because there's not many where you're currently living. So that's something you got to think about. But also, you may not have done the research. So I would do the research on which companies have offices or have offices in Calgary, Alberta. This is something you've got to think about, because you want to make sure that you even have the opportunity to work for someplace there. So I would look up pharmaceutical companies, I would look up CROs, and I would look up sites in that area. And how are you going to do this? Well, one great way is to talk to somebody on LinkedIn. So definitely make sure you have a LinkedIn profile and reach out to people that are study coordinators in the area, maybe CRAs in Canada. Just reach out, connect with these people, ask them for 20 minutes of their time to talk to them, 30 minutes of their time. CRAs are really, really busy, but they would definitely love to talk to you, and you can kind of get more information. So maybe that's something you haven't thought about before, but that's something that you definitely want to think about, because they can tell you what needs to happen. They can tell you what you need to do and what steps they took in Calgary, Alberta to be successful and ultimately break in. So that's something else I would think about. Another thing you want to think about is, okay, maybe you have applied to some jobs and you've been getting rejected, but you might want to think about your resume. Now, we've talked about earlier in this episode the importance of a resume, and we've talked about the resume review program. So I can help you condense that to a one-page resume that's really, really good and really, really potent. But the resume is important because that's what people are going to read about you, and you're only as good as your resume. And you really want to think about that. So definitely think about your resume. Does it need help? Don't be too, proud to say, okay, it might need some help. But that's what I do. I do these all the time for people, and they notice a big difference. And, I think one of the big things that they notice is just how much better prepared they are for the interview, and how much more they understand their own background and their own skills in order to get into clinical research. So that's something to think about also. Now, when it comes to training programs, internships, etc., I would definitely look out for contract positions, because that's where you get a lot of people that are new to the field. They sign you on maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, and you work in the industry, you get that experience, and don't be afraid to take it, even if it's only like $10, $15 an hour, because after you update your resume and get that experience, your whole life is going to change. So look at contract positions. Internships, you definitely want to look at internships, because that's real world experience also. You can look at universities, you can look at hospitals, you can look at clinics, And you can look at pharmaceutical companies and CROs for that too. But I think most interns are going to happen. Well, really, I don't know that. But, internships can be hard to come by too, even though you most likely will be working for free or very little money. But they can oftentimes turn into full-time work also. So you definitely want to do that. Look out on Indeed. Indeed, I've done tutorials on Indeed.com, how to apply for things, how to look at internships, etc. So go look at those old videos. If I need to make an updated one, I can do that too. And then training programs. This is not something where you want to pay to be trained. This is something where the training programs really help you after you have been in the field for a little bit. This is an experience-based industry. This is not something where you want to go get a degree in clinical research or go pay for some class or something like that. This is something where you want to get experience, and experience is something that matters the most in this industry. So I would look at internships, definitely look at contract work, of course look at full-time work, but don't be too picky when you're just trying to get your foot in the door. Just get your foot in the door, because you can always change after that. You can always change your role. And it doesn't matter if you're in the finance department or if you're in the clinical or data management department. Just get your foot in the door in the industry, and everything will change after that. So hope that was helpful. Hope that answered your question and gave you some things to think about. All right, guys. If you have any other questions, email me, eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com. Take care.